This is a Bialbero engine, a 1.6 liter engine from the Alfa 75. This engine here is also known as the North engine or the Busso. Yes, I know that the Busso is more known for the V6 variant, but the same engineer, the Giuseppe Busso, that built this engine also built the V6 engines. This engine here has oil consumption and antifreeze is lost to the oil and to the exhaust. Very, very nasty. So today we are doing a teardown of this engine. Some of this stuff I already did on some videos that are down below on the description, so you can see better some stuff related here to the coolant system, for example. Already did some videos, a lot of videos for this. So let's start here to disassemble some stuff around the engine and work our way in to the engine. Let's start here by removing the intake plenum, the intake manifold. We have two 17s down here. And we have the clamps over here. Look at this. Just look at the amount of water and oil that I have on the intake. It's really, really too much. This all comes from the PCV system. Next, we will take out here the thermostat housing with these hoses over here. These hoses are practically new, so I want to conserve them. They were new old stock and they are very rare to find, including here this joint over here. It is new. So here's a very old trick. When you have a hose that does not want to come off, you want to first of all, take out here the rest of the clamp, take it out of the way. So now what you do is to rotate the pipe onto the flange over here of the water pump, rotate it like so it breaks loose. So let's see if I can do it. Okay, this section here of the pipe is the only one that is actually the edge of the car, but in fact it is still very, very good. It was not at first, but I took care of this. So here is something that I really didn't want to do, to remove this part of the intake. Because as you can remember, when I did the head of this engine, this gasket over here, the gasket that is here on this engine, is special for injection port, okay? And the only way that I could find and buy a gasket was on the dealership, only. And it was absolutely very expensive for just a gasket, okay? And the thing is, I don't want to risk not to find another gasket like this. On the other hand, as you can remember, on this face of the head, I have dimps and holes on the head. And this part of the intake, having antifreeze over here, having coolant over here, the coolant was indeed passing through the intake. And now, as I have again the coolant onto the engine, I want to make sure that this part of the assembly is good or not, because I may have still the same problem over here and another problem on the inside of the engine. My only thing is, as I use that paste, that very sticky paste on this paper compound gasket, I may be able to use it or remove it in order to see if the issue was really within this gasket. I don't know, I have to risk it. If I cannot find another gasket like this, I don't know. Because gaskets for the carbureted models are fairly easy to find, but for the injection ones, it's very difficult too. So taking out here the injectors, too easy. Maybe this, I don't really know if it uses some kind of rubber. Does not seem like it, or does it? I have to see with the injector, guys. It is too easy to remove, so we can have also some false intakes over here. This is not good, not at all. There is not much to say about the fasteners of this engine, apart for the old technology. As you can see here, the washer seems broken or seems deformed, but in fact they are not. They are just like this, special washers, wave-like washers. They are spring washers actually, and the nuts are very simple, very normal. So actually the nuts, I will put some new ones just to be more presentable. And the washers, if I can find them, I will actually put also new ones because sometimes they break. The fact is, They are like this to stop the nut from loosening itself. This is a kind of lock nut assembly that we had at the time, 30 years ago or more, because this engine actually was developed in the 1970s, I believe, 60s, 70s. So this is very, very old tech, but it functions very well. Very well indeed, okay? So the engine is filled with 13 millimeters, 10 millimeters, sometimes 7 on the threading, on the bottom pan over there. But do not forget that these washers are really just like so. So the intake is just glued on with that paste. Not really glued, but stuck on. And then I just want to take it out like so. I really want to take this out very calmly and gently, maybe with some fine, because I do not want to lose any evidence. What I'm looking for is evidence of water consumption. If I find, I will put a new gasket, of course, but imagine that it is impossible. Really, like impossible. I have to do something to save it. Okay, so the beauty of this gasket, this original one, is I have this rubber all around both sides, and that tells me, as you can see, it's already failing over here, because once disassembled it's no longer viable to use it, but that this leaves me with the perfect path of the rubber. And on the intake side, as I have here the coolant channels, tells me that I do not have any passage to the intake via these 4 holes. On the head too is very much perfect, so I have all around that mark of the rubber, and I have mainly over here on this part, I have no indication of passage of water to the antifreeze. Maybe over here, maybe. Cannot tell. Really cannot tell over here. On the other hand, on the intake itself, it's full of oil, completely full with oil. Spark plug number 1, we have a lot of carbon. Spark plug number 2, also a lot of carbon. The number 4, same deal. And the number 3 is different because, yeah, this spark plug, once a week I have to replace it and clean it, and yeah, that's it. Removing here the RPM sensor. It is quite bad. I have a used one over there. Maybe it's better than this one. Next I will take out here the oil filter and here the crank pulley. This pulley is, I already took it out 2 times on my car. Once to do here the water pump, the next for something else I do not remember. But in the meantime, my impact gun went dead, or almost dead, and I'm not sure if I will be able to remove the nut on the inside. I really hope so, because on the donor engine I was not able to do so. This oil filter is original, still available from the dealership. It is not very expensive, about 10 euros or so. I have to put some sandpaper over here. That is crucial to make sure that your oil pressure is always nice. No. Certeza absoluta. Round 2. Oh yeah. It will come off. Always so very tight. And this one was me. Yay! The dipstick tube. It has this section over here, this flexible joint over here. This piece of rubber is very difficult to find. In fact, I was not able to find it. And this one is a bit of a hose that I was able to find. Make sure not to use the coolant type, because they will not hold the oil contact. Okay, it must be hoses that are prepared to deal with gasoline and oil and that kind of stuff. Okay, the measurements are different. Okay, so you have here, do not remember quite the measurement, but this is inferior and this is superior, so it will be difficult to really find a hose to put in here, but it's not impossible. Okay, mine was teared over here when I bought the car, so now I have this new one. In fact, it is new. I just cut it a bit to be in here. Make sure to know if your engine is on top dead center, and see if here the rotor is on the correct mark. And in fact it is. I did a video for this, for the other 75, that video is no longer available for reasons. Okay, but in fact you have to match here, so you have a point that matches to the center of the rotor, and then you have a scratch that centers within 10 degrees of the rotor. This is not a point system, so it is a bit different from the norm. This O-ring, it will be replaced, obviously. It's not very difficult to do. On the inside here, possibly it has also a seal, but I'm not terribly worried about that right now, because it seems to not to have any sort of leak from the inside. This car has an oil level sensor. It is more like a switch. Okay, it is on or off, and is one of the few things that I was able to salvage from that donor engine, because my original one, possibly with the vibrations, broke here the point of the sensor, because it was working correctly when I bought the car. So the water pump has here the needle for the PMS or TDC. PMS is in Portugal. TDC. And also the only way to take out this water pump is removing this crank pulley. I have here some 11s. Yeah, 11, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 11, 11. This water pump is very much new. Almost new, 3 years old. So inside of this water pump there is also a reason, or a possible reason, for water being inside of the oil, because we have the shaft over there. The shaft of the interior drive chain protrudes into this hole. So there is no reason for this to be binding up so much. I do have, can you see the oil over here? That is my issue, probably. But when I put in this water pump, I took the perception. Okay, so this water pump, like I said, is fairly new. And there is one point here where the oil or the water can meet the oil. It is in between this area over here. So antifreeze over here, and this is the shaft for the inside of the chain. But as you can see, there is absolutely no way the water can pass, on my case, obviously. So it can happen, yes, it can happen, but no, not feeling it. But once I took out this cover, we will check out very deeply this part over here. But no. As you can imagine, a lot of oil mixed with water. Nothing too special about that, as we know. Over here on this actuator, this is for the variable timing on the intake. I already did a video for the leaks, the possible leaks on this part. There are several parts that can leak on this assembly, and I did all of that. So as you can see, very good, no oils whatsoever on this assembly. Okay, no oil leaks on this assembly. Already did a video, can be down on the description so you to see. Yes, this engine already has variable intake valves over here. It's just on or off, but it is really it works. It really works. On low revs, you can actually feel this engage and give it a little bit more torque down low. So very ingenious system, very good. Now the next step is to take out the chain. I have to rotate the engine to find the master link, and I have to take out the tension of the tensioner over here. This is the valve to see the pressure of the oil. This actually sees in real time the actual pressure of the oil system. Already did a video to test the entire system since here until the cluster. So down below again you have a video, very thorough video, how to test this this part and also test the entire system. So at this point TTC does not matter anymore. I want to rotate the engine to find the master link of the chain. I will rotate here by hand the engine, it's fairly slow, to find the master link, take it apart and open the chain. About the chain of these engines, I already did a video, a very thorough video about how to do that. It is a bit old, so it's not all that great, but I will guide you step by step how to do it. And so I have to find here the master link. So to take out the chain is not that hard, even if some things may fall into the engine. I am opening the engine anyway, but to assemble it you have to have a little bit more care. So with a pair of pliers I think is the most efficient way. Just twist here the master link, and now you can pull back the other link. So I have another link on the outside, sometimes it's stuck. Okay, be careful because you have another one in the middle, like so, and of course here this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4 parts in the chain. The chain, by the way, these chains are old school. They do not stretch. And the engine being kind of low compression, no non-turbo and whatnot, it will not stretch all that much. I already researched a bunch about that, and the measurements that I have for stretching, I have a method of stretching here. The chain or the engine has a method for that, and it is not stretched. This chain is perfect, it's very good, so I will keep this chain. So yes, this sprocket over here is the one that tensions the chain via a spring, a very large spring that it has here on the inside. Normally I like to do this after taking out the chain, once I am disassembling the chain obviously, and to assemble you just follow what I did on the other video. And now I can take out here this 14mm on the outside. This is the bolt that secures the adjustment of this sprocket. As I will turn this bolt out, the sprocket will go forward, in that way tensioning the chain. On my case, removing the sprocket altogether. So in this way, you can do this with the head off, of course, but if you want to learn, it is like so. Now you have here the spring, you have down there the sprocket. I will take it out once I take out the head. And most precious of all is a little tab that is attached to this bolt. Very important not to lose it. I will show you once I get there, okay? So here on the caps, for being 30 years old, I don't think they are terribly bad. They are quite good actually, all of them. Despite the fact that I'm running with water, also, they are quite good. The camshafts themselves are in very good condition, really good. Okay, they have 30 years of age, but that is just. So here on the variegator, I do have some play over here. I don't know if this is just the way it is, but I think it's not. So I have to see on the other camshaft if it does this play. About the adjustment of this, I already did on that tutorial for the timing of this engine. Did talk about that and did adjust it. The same thing on this cam. Already did the adjustment over here. Very easy to do, very straightforward. Over here, again, no wear whatsoever. And the caps on this side also in the same condition than on the intake side. Very little wear, almost none. Here the buckets are adjusted by shims on the inside, as you can see. And these are already adjusted because the head was out just 2 years ago. So I will write here the number of the position, but I think Well, I don't know if this head will be used or not, but just to play safe, I will write down where the position of it. So intake 1, 2, 3, 4, exhaust 1, 2, 3, 4. So the shims are just this small tab over here. Now here the head should come out easily, not like the donor engine. This was completely seized up on the donor, so the studs come up the head, and if you do not have any antifreeze, at least good quality one, you will have a lot of corrosion in between the steel studs and the aluminum head. This one just ran with perfect flow up always. Even now with the consumption of the antifreeze, I always make sure to use good quality antifreeze to do the filling of the same. So it should come out fairly easy. Better safe than sorry. It's a beast. It's very heavy. These heads are very chunky. So speaking of chunky, yeah, very chunky. Ooh. Very chunky indeed. So as you can see, I have here just what I had when I took out the head. A lot of crud on top of the cylinders, but I have something new here. The number 3 is full with water, and the cylinder is also filled with water, but also very rusty on top, which means a lot of water consumption on namely number 3. On the bottom of the cylinders, I have a lot of, not a lot, I have some debris, normal. Okay, it's the normal stuff for a 32-year-old engine with a head of 2 years ago. The head gasket, this is very strange. This head gasket is falling apart, and I did have excellent quality antifreeze. So, is it possible that the head gasket is doing this? Because, okay, this head gasket functions in a very different way. This head gasket has only to seal here on the rings, on the head side, and I have the oil return over here and here and here and there, and I also have here the antifreeze. So, is it possible that it is a head failure again? Because it was like, it was very sudden. Not very sudden, but it was increasing and increasing. So the thing is, the car was running great, okay? The oil consumption, it was a bit high, but okay, I have 2 broken con rods and that increases the ovalization here of the cylinders. Okay, but the coolant was very nice. The cooling system was really very nice. As you can see on the previous video that I did about the cooling system of this engine, until a certain point I did have good, excellent functioning of the antifreeze. I'm sorry to be a little bit out of words, but I'm really trying to find what the hell is going on. How can a new head gasket in 2 years do this? And I did not have any contamination on the antifreeze. So no oil was on the antifreeze and no other type of antifreeze was on the system. The ring, okay, maybe here. I have to take out here the gasket all the way to see. So I'm trying to think here. I'm sorry to be taking so much of your time, but the reason that I think The problem is the O-rings that are on the cylinders, if I'm able to remove them. Because that is very strange that I had a lot of oil consumption with the 20W50. I was able to lower that consumption considerably, no more smoke and all, and suddenly a loss of coolant to the oil. So those O-rings can do that. Oh yes, they can, and they will. And if I have a very corroded block, it also will be very difficult to resolve. But this head gasket is driving me nuts. This head gasket is really driving me nuts. So I have the oil return lines in pressure over here, and they are indeed pressured. They receive pressure from around the block over here, and it was perfect. I think it was. So this area here of the gasket is not pressured. It's normal to gain a little bit of a belly, like we say in Portugal, like for example over here. But this is corrosion. This is hardcore corrosion on the new gasket. How can this be? Always with excellent antifreeze. So just to say that I never had an overheating situation on this new repair of the head, only previously of that. And as you can see, no evidence whatsoever of overheating. The rings of the gasket are indeed perfect. So that makes sense, okay? No overheating and no failure of the rings of the gasket, the head gasket. That makes perfect sense. Even if I had on this side, like it seems at some points, like over here, that in fact it is what I saw on the other time. Correction, I did have pressure on the system, a lot actually. I just changed the cap to another pressure, 1.4 bars, to have less of that. And so having pressure on the system, it means compression is entering the system, not overheating, but having pressure over pressure means that compression is present. Oh my god, this is very odd. Maybe the cylinders are a bit down onto the block and make maybe compression passing through here is doing that. Maybe it's the compression that is doing this to the gasket. Reasons. I already did a video how to remove this oil sump on the car because of here this issue with the cross member. I did this video to access here the oil sump to see what was on the inside, but mainly to repair here the threading on here. It's already done. And that is how I discovered that I had two bent conrods, because I took advantage of not having the oil sump in place to take out the caps and see the condition of the main bearings and the bearings for the conrods. And that's how I discovered I had that issue, okay? So now here, tap here onto the sump. All the bolts are out, as I can see. So a lot of debris, as you can imagine, because of the mix with oil and the coolant. Nothing too special about it. What is this? Broken O-ring. Or glue. Or glue. And the tip of the sensor is also here. This is not an issue, okay? Oil pump is held down with 3 bolts, 13mm head bolts, nothing too special about this. Underneath here you will find a O-ring, also will be replaced, obviously. You can open also here the oil pump, just to be safe. This oil pump actually is really very good in terms of pressure, because at any moment I can see the pressure on the inside of the car. Being an old car, it has that system. So, yeah. Next, I will take out here the front plate, because the crankshaft is very long, just 10mm bolts all around. Nuts, actually. Some of these washers are not from here. These two ones, remember on the water pump, I had two 11mm ones. That's because this will go all the way into the block. That will be fun to remove. Very, very ingenious. I really like this engine. Not the way it is right now, but I really love the design of this engine. So maybe like so. Ah, one more. Very, very nice. Wow, I am impressed. It was disassembled already at least one time. This gasket is very bad in terms of in terms of alignment. Hello. Not very good. These are the things that I like about these engines. This is my first time so deep on this engine because my donor engine, I was not able to take out this front part, okay? And I was watching here, how can I remove this and whatnot, how this goes out, maybe with a crankshaft. And when you try to start to see, so this moves, okay? And wow, this also moves. So it just makes sense. The engineering of this engine makes sense. I think I do not have any marks to correspond over here because on the top it is kind of free. You can put it wherever you want and then tighten in place. A bit of wear, not bad. So unlike the 105 series, this engine only has the bendable tabs here on the last one, here on this last support. All the other ones that do not use them, I believe, they don't. So just tap it away. Tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it. Tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it. Okay. Now this middle one is very difficult to remove, and the last one too. The middle one has the thrust bearings on it, that's why it's so difficult to remove. Try to rock it back and forth. Thing is coming out. Ooh. In here it's kind of easy. If you have a puller, a threaded puller, in here you can put it maybe on both. And then, yeah, with a puller, tuk, 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 and it will come out. I don't have it. Do you? Like this and this. I think it will come out. Just wiggle. Okay. Starting to come up. Well, I do not have a puller, but I have the screws. And having the screws, I can pull it from the screws. At least that. Sometimes I really am stupid. Like so. Oh yeah! Ta-da! Oh my! That is a lot. That is a lot. And now, welcome to a 32-year-old rear main seal. How awesome is this? Jesus, mother. This is very old. It was leaking. Yeah, it was. I have to see here the crank. I don't know if this crank is savable because I don't know if it is crooked or not because of the crooked conrods. But I have the other one from the donor. I think I have the parts, the main parts I need for this rebuild. Do not forget that I also have to get this cigar type seals. This is really just like the V6, as you can see. I hope I can find them. In Portugal it's very difficult to find parts. Very, very difficult. We can find them, okay, on the other countries' websites, but that makes it way, way more expensive to do. Now the conrods, just push them down. These bolts are free from the conrod itself, apparently. Okay, I know what's happening. It's not straight into the thing. Okay. So on number 4, it is kind of uniform as you want it. I have the issue on the number 3 and 1. So 2 and 3 I already took out, and I can confirm that the 3 is bad in terms of the conrod being crooked. So I will show you on number 1. So I made a mess, okay? As I push down the bolts, now I cannot crank the crankshaft to take this out, but it will come out the same. It's almost there. This is really asking for a cut on the fingers. Yeah, there it is. So just like number 3, it is exactly the same. We have here a very large a very large wear here on the bearing of number 1. The other bearing, the other half bearing, is like this, but really on the other side, which means this conrod is crooked, like so. Okay, I'm good, I'm alright. And now for the first time ever, removing here, on my channel of course, removing here this crankshaft. Possibly crooked crankshaft. Oh my god. So here on number 1, it's not really that bad. It's quite good actually, a little bit of a wear over there. But 32 years, it is what it is. On the second and fourth one, you do not have a direct lubrication onto these bearings, which is a bit scary nowadays. And as you can see, not really that bad. Okay, a little bit over there. Yes, but not noisy. On the middle one, the one that has the thrust bearings, 1, 2, this is the least worst one, if I can call it so. The fourth one, not lubricated. And as you can see, it has, yes, this one, yeah, a bit, okay, a bit. And the last one, being the furthest away from the oil pump, yes, it has a little bit of wear in here too. Possibly because of the water mixed with the oil. Does not make an excellent lubricant, does it? Here again on the conrods, number 1, like so, very bad. Number 2, it's not quite as bad. Number 3, next to number 1, damage-wise. Number 4, similar to number 2. We already have a winner. This piston came straight down without me doing mostly anything. Worst of all, I do not see any damage on it. That's very awkward. So let's remove the rest of them. I can push them by hand. So either the sleeve is very worn out, or these piston rings are very weak. Oh my god, this engine kills me. I love this engine, but I hate what is happening. Number 1. Well, the worst one was the number 3. So let's see. Damn thing. Now the third one. This was the worst. Well, I have to wash all these to see better, but I was expecting damaged pistons all around, very damaged pistons. I was expecting the rings, the piston rings, to be completely stuck together. I was expecting a lot, but not this. So probably the problem with this engine is with the piston cylinders themselves. On the interior by the wear they have, and on the exterior via that lower O-ring. These cylinders are garbage anyway, so my method of removal, yeah. Here on the bottom of the cylinders, yes, the O-ring is very much damaged. I can see actually some places where it is pitted, if I can say so. A lot of places, like this one, that one, and that one, all around. Very much pitted. Maybe on screen it's not that apparent. And here on the inside, the liners are completely gone through. They have no etching anymore. That cross pattern is not there anymore, so it means that they are not round anymore. And this may be the reason why the coolant was on oil. Another thing, this RTV stuff, is this from factory? Because if it is not, maybe this issue was present in the past, Someone tried to fix it and did this. A lot of RTV on the coolant system. That's why on the other video I saw so much RTV down onto the channels of the waterways. So now I have to clean all this up. This number 1 is very bad. Very bad, really. Number 2 also. Well, I see something. I see something, alright. Yes, on number 1 and 2, over there, and all around here. This is very pitted. This will be a very difficult repair, because if I have to resurface that area, I also have to resurface this one, and I don't know if I have clearance for that in terms of piston to valve contact or piston to head contact, for that matter. This is getting very much. I also can see some pitted, I can see some clogged passageways. I believe there are passageways, or just I hope that other engine is better than this one, or it may be worse. I have to clean all this. I have to clean everything, go to the machine guy and see what's what. Tell you the truth, I already have pistons for this, oversized ones, and I was hoping to use not these ones, not this liners. I do have some other liners, but I believe they will not work on this engine. Man, oh man, this is getting really frustrating. So yeah, it's getting really cold and dark outside. I was hoping to find something else. I already knew kind of the problem that was this one, but I was hoping for another thing to be, because this problem is really very difficult to go around, very expensive to do, because resurfacing everything, not all shops do that, for starters, and then parts for it, aftermarket, oversize. Oh my god. Oh my god. Down on the description there is a lot of information that can and will be useful for you. Videos related to this one, also the first series of the Alfa 75 that I did for the repair of this head, also a lot of stuff for other areas of the car. Also down on the description there are 2 links for helps for the channel. Now on this, sorry about this, now on this new era of the channel, I really hope you can consider a monthly help for the channel, and in this way try to get us a little bit further. I see you next time, guys. Bye.